going to be making zines today. If you do want to join us, all you'll need are a sheet of paper, some scissors, and a writing utensil. I have a marker and some colored pencils I'm going to use. You can use a pencil, pen, whatever you'd like to write with. And if you don't have those materials or you just want to sit back and watch, that's totally fine as well. And also, if you have any questions or if you need me to repeat any of the folds that I'm going to do in a bit, please don't hesitate to ask in the chat. So I'm going to share my screen. Zines are short for fanzines, but they can also be short for personal zines. That's what we're making today. A zine is essentially a DIY publication that you do yourself, and it can be about your persona. That's why we're doing personal zines today. So, what makes you you, things that you like, that you're interested in. It's a good self reflective exercise. They can also be about anything you'd like. They can be about important issues that you observe in the world today, about history, about poetry, about art, whatever you'd like. I've had a few students use zines to showcase their art. Others write poems in them. So, really, a zine is anything, or rather, what you'd make of it. But the reason I'm showing you this page is because zines came to prominence in the science fiction and fantasy community. So you just imagine Comic Con. Comic Con is a big convention for comic book geeks. I am one. Um, but back in the day, science fiction and fantasy fans also created zines to share their interests and to discuss latest books, shows, movies, and all things sci-fi and fantasy. So it's basically like a convention, but on paper. That's how I'd like to think of it. And here are some early examples of zines that they published. So you'll see that a few look like they were done with typewriters. Personal computers weren't a thing back in the 1930s. Um, Typewriters weren't even a thing for most people, actually. But some people did have access to typewriters, which is why you'll see that some of the text here is set in type. But you'll also see that a lot of the work looks like it's been done in pen. Like this one up here, this looks like our friend, the creature from the Black Lagoon. Or this image here where it says science fiction 5 yearly, 25 cents. I don't know how much that is in 2022 currency. But the point of this is to show just like the history of how zines developed and also the different ways you can make one. So a lot of these are text heavy, um, but they can also be very art heavy and they don't necessarily have to be really wordy. I'll show you a few examples I made just so that you remind yourself that you don't really need to be artsy or you don't have to have the best skills to be able to make a zine. All right. Do we have any thoughts on these? I think this one's really cool. This looks like a giant fly on top of a building, and it looks like it was just made in red pen. I'm going to click on that so we can take a closer look at it. Yeah, that's really cool. It looks like it was done in pen or maybe possibly marker. So you can see the handwritten quality of some of these zines, and it looks like it has type on the other side. So it's very DIY. Any comments or questions in the chat, Vicky?
No questions yet, just a lot of comments. Fun and how great. The art looks really cool.
Right. I kind
Very
of wish I
impressive.
had. Yeah, definitely. I kind of wish I had even a bit of this talent, but I'm the kind of artist who draws stick figures and the sticks don't connect. So if you're feeling really self-conscious of your skills, please don't because mine are nothing to show off. But yeah, I'm glad that we're finding this really cool. I really think they're cool. In the 70s, with the rise of punk, um, we had all these bands that also used zines to promote their music, their artwork. And if you're into punk, you know that it's a very political genre of music, and punk musicians and other musicians as well, but punk especially, they had a lot to say about what was going on in the world around them. And that whole movement was so influential that even now we have folks listening to punk bands from the 70s and from the 90s. If anyone has seen a movie on Netflix called Moxie, this is my shameless plug for library resources. So, that movie, Moxie, was based on a book that we can find on Overdrive if you have a library card. You can search for ebooks, and Vicky's going to share the link to this on the chat. So that book's called Moxie. You can search for ebooks if you have a library card, and you can check them out online, or you can check out the physical copies. So this is the book I'm talking about, Moxie. I checked it out for purposes of this program, and if you've seen the book or seen the movie, read the book, you don't see a book. If you've seen the movie or read the book, you know that it's about a teen in a school, I believe in Texas, who's very unhappy with the way that boys in her school treat women. So she decides to do something about it by publishing her own zine. She grabs her markers and sheets of paper, writes out her feelings on the zine, photocopies it, and spreads copies in the school, just to express outrage about some of the unfairness that she and her friends experience. So here is an excerpt from this book, so you can see kind of what an ebook looks like when you check it out. This is what it'll look like on the browser, or you can also download the Libby app on your phone and just read it on your phone. But what I like about the book is that it has illustrations of the zines that this character makes. And so this is what her first zine looks like. You can see that it literally looks like she just wrote in pen and Sharpie. And I think that's like a picture of her grandma when she was young. And that's the end of her zines. As you can see, it's just 4 pages, all written by hand, and then she photocopied it. So I really like this book. It's a really cool book, and in it she talks about how she was influenced by these bands like Bikini Kill, and the Riot Girl movement of the 90s, because these punk bands were quite outraged by a lot of um, issues going on around them in the world. And not only did they make music about it, but they also published their own zines. And so she was inspired to publish her own zine, and this is the result. I haven't seen the movie, so I can't vouch for how good it is. If you have, please share that in the chat. But I have read the book, and it's a really cool book. So that's kind of what we're going for today. So we've gone over how zines kind of got their start with sci-fi fans, and then going into the punk zine of the 70s and grunge in the 90s. But as time went on, technology also progressed. So now we're able to do or to publish zines using computers and word processors like Microsoft Word, so that we can make even longer and more text-heavy zines. So you can see that this zine, this is one called Film Fatales, a zine about film and feminism. It's just an example. You can see that they wrote out and then set all of their images on the computer and then printed it out and then put it all together. So this is a bit more elaborate, definitely, and very text heavy. So if this is something maybe you're interested in pursuing, this is a cool goal to strive for, but also not necessary at all. Like if you just want to make zines on the side just for fun, it's totally cool if they have this kind of aesthetic or this kind of aesthetic if you're really artistic. But if you want to go big, this is definitely something to shoot for as well. So zines are really cool art form and a cool way to express your thoughts, your ideas, your passions, but you can also actually sell them. Um, there's 2 websites I want to bring your attention to. Big Cartel is a website that artists use to market their art. There's different tiers. You can get like a free profile, or you can pay to be able to sell more products. It's kind of like a premium version, right? So I've never used this, so I can't speak to how well it works. I just know that it's a resource that artists use. as well as Etsy. Um, Etsy is a source for all things art and homemade things. Like you can see here, personalized gifts, wedding gifts and decor, jewelry. If you search zines, you'll find that a lot of folks also sell their zines online. And I like that there's all sorts of zines on here. Color therapy, I didn't know that was a thing. That's cool. I'd be interested in that. So this person sells their zine for $4. Um, Someone's selling a set of three for $24, and this one's going for 23.41, and this one's going for 11. So you can see that you can sell your zines um, with different price ranges. Um, it can be a bit difficult to determine how much you're going to sell your zine for. That's totally understandable. And that's why I encourage you to check out events like this one here, the San Fernando Valley Zine Fest. So before the pandemic, a lot of organizations had zine festivals across the county. Like there was one in Long Beach, one in LA, which was in Little Tokyo, that would happen every February, I think, and one in San Fernando as well. But then COVID happened, and that sadly canceled. But this organization, the San Fernando Valley Zine Fest, they actually went virtual. I'm not quite sure about LA or Long Beach, but I know that this org went virtual, and they put theirs on every October. They also have an Instagram if you want to check them out. But what I actually like about this website is that they put up information for all of the artists who attend their festivals. And so you can check out the work of these artists, and they'll also have their work on sale on here as well. So you can see kind of not only what their art looks like, but how much it's going for. So events like these are good to give you an idea of what you can do with your zines, but also to be able to connect to other artists, especially if that's something that you want to do either full time, or if you really want to pursue art in the future. This could be a really good start and a good way to make connections. So I encourage you to check out any other zine events that you hear of. So do we have any questions before we go into learning how to fold and make our own zines?
So we have one question which you kind of addressed, which was, do you use a website to create and publish the zine? But if you wanted to talk about other ways besides the paper way that you're going to demonstrate.
Yeah, that's interesting. So I haven't come across any like open source websites, like any like built-in software that you can use. Um, you can use like Microsoft Publisher if you have access to that. That would probably be the easiest. But I'm not sure about any specific website that you can use to put a zine together. But maybe some of the artists that attend these sorts of events might be able to point you in that direction. That's a great question. Thank you.
Yeah, and I was thinking maybe even something as simple as like Microsoft Word or Google Docs, basic, since you were kind of talking about how like, oh yeah,
Mhm.
you could just draw and photocopy and copy paste, even just printing it too from just a regular Word doc might be a way
Yeah, yeah,
to get started.
yeah, for sure. And I'll show you an example. Actually, it was a perfect segue. Oh, did I disconnect?
Oh, we lost you for a second.
Yeah,
Can you hear
I'm
me,
here.
sir? Okay.
All right, cool.
Your camera's kind of frozen, so I'm going to give it a second to recalibrate. But someone actually just posted in the chat that a open source platform called Scribus is something that people have used to make workbooks, but that might be an option too. So I'll find the website and post that in the chat. Thank you to our commenter. And now, Sabrina, your screen looks great to me, so I'll hand it back over to you.
Awesome, cool. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that resource. Yes, I was going to show some examples that I made using Microsoft Word. And the reason I actually suggested Publisher is because I remember Publisher being much easier to use because Word is not that great at doing what you want it to do. And I'll go into that a bit. But yeah, geez, my camera was being a little stubborn in the moment. Okay, so I made this one. Whenever you publish a zine and you want to make photocopies, you want to make sure that you have like a master copy. So these are photocopies and they're stapled. Um, but my original was not stapled because I want to make more photocopies of it. So I'm just going to keep it loose. Um, I called this $2 for my thoughts because I had no other better idea for a title, and I imagine I would sell this for $2. I am not going to though. I'm not feeling too confident about it. But yeah, this is just a photocopy of stuff I put together. I had to make this image. I had to cut it out and then paste it and then photocopy it because Word was not understanding that I wanted this text here and this image here. So that's why I say that Word can be a little tricky. If you have access to Microsoft Publisher, that's a little easier. But that is one of the things or one of the drawbacks about using a word processor like that. You're going to spend a lot of time trying to figure out how to tell Word what to do. So this is something that I typed up. You can see that I use like old timey typewriter font. I also have an image there. And then I have a book list back here because I always have to bring things back to books. But yeah, this is something that I just like stapled together. But also you can just fold zines. So this actually is just one sheet of paper. I wanted to show you these two examples just so you can see that a zine can be like something bigger like this, or it can be something as small as this. Um, I made this about environmental issues that are important to me, and this is my original. This is a black and white photocopy. I wanted to show you both of these because you can see that having it black and white kind of changes the aesthetic a bit, right? Like this is a bit more DIY and punky, I'd like to think. Um, yeah, so this is one of my zines. I just uh, cut some words out from magazines, pasted them, and then photocopied it to get this kind of look. So you can experiment with different materials, with collages, and different like crayons, markers, writing utensils until you find something that you like. And I also wanted to highlight that you can actually make photocopies at the library. You get 10 free pages each day, and since each zine really only takes one page, then that's 10 zines you can make one day. The only thing is that with our photocopiers, you can only make black and white copies. So if you would like to make color copies like these here, then you might have to look elsewhere, or you can print them in black and white, just like have a template and then color them in later. Or you can just find somewhere to print them in color. But if you're looking for a place to make black and white photocopies, you can come to the library because you get 10 free pages. This is another zine I made. Another note about photocopying is to keep in mind that your borders may be trimmed. So this is my original here. This is my photocopy. And you can see like I had a sticker down here, but like when I copied it, it was cut off. So just be mindful that that can happen when you photocopy zines. Now, I like to think, again, I'm not that artistic a person. I like to think that this is one of my fancier zines, and this is what I call fancy, at least for me. But zines definitely don't have to be fancy or elaborate. They can be something as simple as just writing out a list, like this here. I made a list of my favorite books, and each page is literally just a title with some colored pencil just to give it some color. And that is my zine. I feel like you can still learn a lot about me just with this zine because it has my favorite books on it. So if you're feeling not too confident about your skills, that's totally okay because it's not supposed to be super elaborate. A zine is what you make of it. And who knows, maybe like the more you practice, the more you will develop those skills and the more ideas you'll get, the more creative you'll get. So maybe you won't be happy with your first zine, but you will be happy with subsequent ones. So don't feel bad if you're not artistic, or maybe you're all artistic and I'm over here not artistic at all. All right. So, does anyone have any questions or comments? If not, we can go ahead and get started learning how to fold and make a zine. But I did want to give you a chance to ask questions. Vicky, is there anything in the chat?
No, no questions as of right now.
All right, cool. So, this is essentially what we're going for with the kind of zine that we're going to make today. Can we see the numbers on here?
Yes.
All right, cool. So it's just one sheet of paper. The cover is going to be down here, and the back cover is going to be down here. And then the order of our pages is going to go like this. What is this? Counterclockwise. It's kind of Zoom's kind of produces a mirror image, so I'm not sure what it looks like.
It's
But yes,
counterclockwise. Yes.
counterclockwise.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're good.
Yes. Awesome. Okay, cool. Yeah, so the order is counterclockwise. Front cover, then goes like this, and then back cover. I have these numbers on the top upside down because if you're going to, there's several ways to draw your zine. You can fold it first and then draw it now, once it's all folded up. Or you can draw all of your pages when your page is laid out flat like this and then fold it. But if you're going to do that, keep in mind that these pages up here, you want to draw them upside down because when you fold them, that's when they're going to be right side up. So if you do decide to um, draw and write everything with the sheet laid out like this, then just be mindful that you're going to have to draw these upside down because if you do them all like right side up, quote unquote, so to speak, then they're going to be upside down when you fold it. Okay? So to get this, we are going to take our sheet of paper and fold it in half long ways. Actually, let me move my samples here so it might be easier to see. So we're going to fold it in half long ways. I think this is called hot dog style. And my folds are never completely even, so I'm going to struggle here a bit. But take your time lining up your corners, your edges, and really getting those creases as sharp as you can. And if you have any questions or comments, or if you need me to repeat something, please let Vicky know, and I'm happy to do that. Okay, so once you've folded this hot dog style, you want to fold it in like this. So now your page is divided into quarters. And again, this is just one way to fold a zine. This is going to be what's called an accordion fold. And there's even many ways to do that. So this is just one way. And once you have this, then you're going to fold again. And we're not quite done yet, but you can see it's starting to get that shape. Right? Okay, so just to start from the beginning, we had a flat sheet of paper. We're going to fold like this. And then we're going to fold this way and once more. Okay. Once we've done that, we're going to fold in half hamburger style. You'll see that there's a closed edge and an open edge. So along the closed edge, because of those folds we did earlier, um, we have our page divided into quadrants. So starting with the closed edge, we're going to grab our scissors and cut only until the center. Thanks to the folds we already did, that's kind of marked out for us. All right, so we're going to cut along this crease that you should have in the middle here. I'm going to turn around and do that because trying to do it left-handed would be a mistake. All right, so you should have something like this. Again, this is the closed edge, and you cut so that you'll only go halfway. All right, so that when you open, you have that gaping hole in the sheet. So this is going to be your front cover, and then this will be your back cover, and then you would go in order like this. So at this point, you can either draw your zine, or you can fold it. To fold it, you would just put this top half back, and all those creases we did and that cut we made will help us push it in. So if you're trying to push it in and you get this and it's not cooperating, then you can tease this out a bit until it does. And another thing you can do is you can refold and recreate those creases multiple times. I've had to do that so many times. And that is happening to me right now. It'll help if you fold these center pages here. So, see, now it's doing it. So again, this is our first page, or front cover. This will be your back cover. So you grab your back cover and then you fold it back like this. And now we have our zine. So as we do our zines, I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. So in preparation for this program, I made a zine of my favorite old movies. So favorites, old movies, 1960s. So my favorites are Wait Until Dark. I'm really big into horror movies, so this is one of my favorites. The Birds, and Mask of the Red Death, based on an Edgar Allan Poe story. My next edition is films from the 1980s, which is what I'm going to do now with this zine. I did this just in pencil, and then I used red colored pencil to color in this figure here. But the rest was done in pencil, and this is just to show you that you don't need fancy art materials. You can just do this with a sheet of paper, and if you don't have printer paper, that's okay. Sometimes I use like extra sheets of paper that come with junk mail. Sometimes I use that. So you can use that, and you can use pencil to make your zine. You can also use some fancy construction paper or colored paper if you're feeling really artsy, like something like this is really cool. Um, you can also use cardstock if you like. Once you get practice and you want to sell your zines, cardstock is a much more durable material. Um, but if this is your first time making a zine, I recommend that you practice your folds with printer paper just because it's easier to fold, and cardstock is like a bit more difficult to work with. It's really thick. A few pointers. So this will be your front cover. This will be your back cover, right? And so you can write something here. Each page can be, like, let's say you're making a list. Each page can be a different item on that list, but don't feel compelled to write something different on each page. I encourage you to make use of like a spread. So this is a zine I made about myself. So these are things about me. I played in a mariachi band. I have 3 cats. I use stickers because I love stickers. I'm a metalhead, and that's really important to me, so I used a spread. I'm a librarian, and I drew out my family's journey from Mexico all the way to Los Angeles, and I really like horror movies. So this is my personal zine. I was thinking, what am I going to write about? What else can I include about myself? But I really wanted to use a spread for this. So I encourage you to kind of think outside the box. Don't limit yourself to just like one page per item, whatever it is that you're going to write about. So if you've already started your zines, please share what you're making your zine about. If you need me to repeat any folds, um, please ask. It's totally okay. I'm more than happy to do it again. So yeah, any questions or comments while we all get started on our zines?
So we had one question about the folding process, and someone was asking if they could use glue to keep the edges intact.
You can for sure, especially once you fold your zine. So see, like if you um, once you have like your pages down, you'll see that even though this is what it's supposed to look like, um, there's going to have like, or there's going to be an opening here. Um, if you'd like, you can definitely glue these down, especially once it's all folded and you don't intend on opening it again. This is going to be your final product. You can definitely glue these edges down. Um, it's not necessary, and I don't usually see it, but you can totally do it. Something else I see, especially with like this kind of format of zines, bookbinding is an art form in and of itself, and so I often see that instead of staples, so like these are staples here. Instead of staples, some folks they just tape them together. That way, because when you staple pages together, unless you have the really long staplers that allow you to kind of put your pages like this and then staple along the creases here, unless you have really long staplers, then you'd be stuck using the small staplers that would require you to fold your zine first and then staple. But when you do that, you'll see that it kind of eats away at your middle pages here. So some of my words here are cut off, and that's not ideal. Um, oh, the lights turn off. Can we still see my zine okay?
We can. Do you want to go move around a little bit to get the lights on?
So, no, it's okay. I would have to do jumping jacks to do that, and I am not about to do jumping jacks. As long as you can see it, it's totally fine. Yeah, so I see that some people, instead of stapling, they just like put tape around this edge here, just to hold their pages together because they want to prevent um, the the staples from like pinching the pages together. And then some folks, they also get really creative, and instead of like the tape and the staples, they'll just bind their book together with string. So they'll poke 3 holes, and then like with yarn and a needle, they'll just kind of like sew them together, like starting from like under here, going through this hole, and then going through that one. So that's pretty elaborate. Yeah, so that's another option. But to answer the original question, yeah, if you'd prefer to use glue, so that to prevent kind of like this, then yeah, you're more than welcome to. Any other questions?
Yeah. While you were thinking about the glue and those kind of options, there were a couple of questions about if you could repeat the fold and the cuts again. So maybe just walk through the whole process one more time
Yeah,
for people who might need a little extra assistance. And then we have a couple other comments and questions that I think can save till after the demonstration.
Okay, yeah. So we're going to start off with our sheet here. We're going to do a hot dog fold.
And actually, Sabrina, I'm sorry to interrupt. Could you just kind of wave your hand a little to get the light? I think that might be better.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's hard with these
No worries.
Eco buildings were the timer on the lights. So thanks for bearing with us on that. There we go.
All right, there we go.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, so we're gonna do a hot dog fold. And there are several ways to fold it, but the way I showed you earlier is that once you have your fold, you're not gonna unfold, you're just going to fold this way. All right, so you should have something like this. Okay. Then you're going to fold again. I'm going to just turn this slightly so that I can get a better grip on it. All right. So now we are going to open up our sheet again. Okay. So now we are going to fold hamburger style. And along the closed edge here, you should have like a closed edge and an open edge. We got along the closed edge, we are going to make a cut into the center here. So thanks to all the folds that we did earlier, the folds should kind of be laid out. So we are just going to, starting with the closed edge again, we're just going to cut into the center here. I'm going to try to do this left-handed. Let's see how this goes. All right, there we go. I just cut into the middle. All right, so now you'll have, if you open it again, you'll have kind of like a big gaping hole in the middle there. And so what you're going to do is that you're going to fold down again, hot dog style. But now that you've made that fold in the middle, now you can push this in. So this will be your front cover, this will be your back cover. So go ahead and push it in and then just fold this back. And this will be your front cover. Let me show that again. So you have this, you fold this back, push in, and then fold back. If it helps, you can number your pages. Where is my example? I have misplaced it. So if it helps, you can, oh, there we go. You can number your pages. You know, you don't want to do this if you're going to draw on your zine, but maybe you can write your page numbers in the corner just so that when you get to this point, you remember that this is the front cover and this is the back cover. And if you're like, wait, where do I fold? Oh, this is my back cover, so I'm going to bring this back. All right, does anyone need to see that again? I have plenty of paper and can totally do it again. Any other questions?
Responding to someone in the chat. No questions. It looks like that second run through really helped people. So I'll go into some of the comments. So someone commented that they're doing a class project zine with several poems that they wrote in their class. So they're gonna start creating their own zines and getting ready to decorate them. So some appreciation for the program and showing them how to get started making their own zine. And then there was a question from someone that I shared. I replied to them directly, but I'll also share it here because I think it is worth noting for the rest of the attendees. So someone was asking about publishing their own story. So they're not an artist, but they're more of a writer. And so maybe aren't quite the right fit for them. And so I'll go ahead and share in just a few seconds in the chat, but I'll be pointing people to our Writers Corner on the LA County Library website. And there are a bunch of different options and resources for writers to publish, format, and learn new writing techniques and skills on our website. So we'll definitely be able to provide those for you as well. So that'll be coming in the chat in just a few seconds. Oh, there is another question though, Vina.
Mm-hmm.
And that is if someone could see the page numbering again.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Let me bring that out. Okay. And it disappeared again. Why does this keep happening to me? That's okay. I can just do this one very quickly. As for the writing corner, Vicky, would you like me to show that on the website? Would you like me to share my screen?
Yeah, if we have time, that would be great. I did put the link in the chat though, so people who are interested in that. And then following the program, we'll also send an email with some resources for people. So all the links that you mentioned during the program, we'll share with attendees. So no worries about trying to grab those from the chat.
Awesome. Okay. So things keep disappearing for some reason. All right, but this is going to be your front cover, and then right next to it is your back cover. So all along here, wow, I did these upside down, terrible. Yes, all along here, they'll be facing the same way on the bottom. So this will be your front cover, back cover, and then the last few pages. Very illegible 6 here. But then pages 2, 3, 4, and 5 are going to be up here. And if you're going to be drawing your layout with your sheet flat like this, then you want to make sure that these are upside down, because when you fold it down, then they'll be right side up again. So that's the order there. And this is particular to this fold. The reason I like this fold, and there are several different ways to fold the zine to make this accordion fold, but the reason I like this one is because it's actually easier to keep track of the pages this way. Because there's a different way to fold it where like you start like this and you fold this way and then that way, and it's kind of like a diaper. But then like your front cover is here, your back cover is here, but then like your other pages are like around it, and it's harder to keep track. So the reason I showed you this fold is because I find this a bit easier. You start here, the back cover is here, and then you just kind of go around like this, and you just fold this back, push it in, and then back cover is here. Does that make sense?
It does, thank you. We did get another question in, and that was about how to make a larger zine. Would you just use your larger papers?
I mean, you can, depending on how big you'd like your zine to be, but if you actually want something like this, this is actually also regular sized paper. It's just instead of folded into like eighths, I just folded it in half. And it's actually several sheets put together and collated like this. Just put them together, fold them, and that's the zine. Now, the thing about this format here is, and especially if you're using a word processor, is that you're not going to have pages that they're going to be slightly out of order. So for example, this page here, or even this last page here, this is actually part of the first sheet, but this is actually part of the third sheet. I don't have my master copy on me, but let me take these apart so that you can see what I'm talking about. Like you have to layer these different texts and pages so that only the center fold is all on one page, if that makes sense. It will make more sense once I have this out on the table for you. Any other comments while I get that ready?
Yes, sorry. responding again in the chat. Always catch me right when I'm responding. So a couple more comments. So lots of thank yous, lots of, we've been looking for projects to do with our students. So this is really a great tool and option for those who want to share this information with other people. And then, yeah, a lot of comments on thank you for the information about the Writer's Corner. So if we have some time, yeah, showing the website would be great.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So let me just show this real quick. Okay. So the way I did this, and I don't really have like a good math brain, so I had to like draw it out before I put it on the computer. I was like, wait, what page goes where? And it was a lot of trial and error. So to get it in this order, so that it is in order, I had to visualize my pages and sort of where they would go. But this first section is on voting. But this sheet here, this was actually my first page on my Word document. On one side is my first page on voting. On the other side was actually my last page of my last section, which was my book list. And then, so this was all like one landscape page. And then the next page was actually my back covers here, or my front and my back cover. And then the page after that was my United States of America section, at the first half of it. And the second half was the second page of my climate change section, if that makes sense. The only page that was quote unquote printed all together is this center piece here about crocodiles in Mexico. This is a very random zine that I made. But yeah, I wanted this image to be all together. So I made this like my center sheet, because this is the only one, like when you put it together and you staple it, this is the only one where the two sections are actually going to line up. Because for all the other ones, since we're folding sheets in half, the sections don't line up. So you'll see, for example, this is a section on climate change. So this first section is actually on a separate sheet than the second section, and it lines up with another bit of text, if that makes sense. If it doesn't, that's okay, because it didn't make sense to me either at first. I had to really sit down, put these 3 pages out like this, and be like, okay, I want my crocodiles to be here. What am I going to print on the other side? Okay, so my climate change is going to be here. Where am I going to put the second section on climate change? So it takes a lot of sitting down and sketching, writing out page numbers, and also trial and error. When I thought I figured it out, and then when I printed it, like the second section of one, or the second page of one section was not where I wanted it to be, and I was like, no. So yeah, it takes a lot of trial and error and a lot of sitting down and just coordinating and collating. Great questions. So let me take a second to share my screen again. Okay. Are we seeing Zoom? Are we seeing my screen?
We are not. Let me...
Or actually, here, let's try this. How about now?
Yeah.
Okay, and are we seeing? Take that as a yes?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right, so let's see, what were we discussing? Oh, Writer's Corner, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So this is our homepage. If you're an author and you're looking to publish your work, or you want some more resources, you can go to the section called Books, Movies, and Music. We have a page called Writer's Corner. that has a few resources that you can take advantage of. So I like that they have online classes you can take on writing, like Gale courses and Universal class. Those are instructor led. If you already have something you want to publish, there's this software that we advertise here called Pressbooks, which is what you can use to create a file with your work. And also, BiblioBoard is a project that LA County Library has that includes self-published works under certain themes. But if you're looking to publish, like if you don't have something that's already put together and published, then you can use Pressbooks to put that together. And if you're looking to take a writing course that's totally self-paced, no pressure, I encourage you to check out our resources on this right-hand side. And Universal class and Guild courses, these are instructor-led and include like materials. And LinkedIn Learning is video-based. So there's different options for you there. And you'll need a library card and a PIN number to access these.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Sabrina, for a really great demonstration, and all of the information you shared with us is really valuable. Stay safe, everyone, and have a wonderful rest of your day.